you know. And often too, you will see a lot of other congregations around the country in New York and Chicago, and they follow the same thing. They only do like one portion. They don't do the double portion. They do the double portion with the Ashkenaz, and even sometimes the Sephardic, is simply because they have they're going to try to put in some of
And
the
often too,
holidays.
you will see a lot of other.
And that holiday would be like what they got coming up, Rosh Hashanah, right? Which they are their new year, which is not something that you and I would celebrate. We don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah because that's not part of Yah's Moedim. He does never tell us to celebrate Rosh Hashanah. That's not part of what we do. So we're not Jewish. We're actually a cultured people. We are the sons and the daughters of Israel. But our Torah portion this week is going to be in what they would call Massei. And Massei basically means the journeys. Journeys. And let me see here. Does this look? Means a journey means to be lifted up and to go camping. Yahweh loves taking his people camping. How long did he take us camping, y'all? How long did he take us to Massei? How long did he take us camping?
40 years.
40 years.
40 years. Could you imagine being on a camp for 40 years? Living with the Creator in that setting for 40 years. Okay. There's another word in the Hebrew called the Hebrew Massei right here. This this little EI right here means plural, means their journeys. Okay. These are the journeys. But the word Massa itself, M-A-S-S-A, means burden. Okay. B-U-R-D-E-N, burden. Okay. So this is the word you're going to have in here, Massa. And one of the other words that you're going to see when you're reading a lot is talking about, it talks about their journeys, and they went up and they journeyed here and they journeyed here. And then they use this word NASA. Okay. Not NASA like aircraft, spaceship, but NASA. So NASA and Massa are the two words that are used. This is their journeys. And this one here is to lift up, and this is to pack up. And this means to lift up and meaning to go on to the next spot. Okay. So that's the name of this Torah portion this week. And complete, to let you know exactly where to read, you're going to start in chapter number 33, and you're going to read every single once a day. The first day, which was Yom Rishon, which they call S-U-N day, was one of the longest days, but the whole complete thing is from chapter number 33, verse number 1 to chapter number 36, verse number 13. Okay. Also, too, what you have here is called the Haftarah. I don't know if you guys ever seen this, the Haftarah. The Haftarah usually includes some other text, like out of the Tanakh, that kind of matches what we're talking about. It kind of gives you a little insight, on some different things about journey and what Yah's intention is. So Jeremiah chapter number 2, verse number 4 through 28, and Jeremiah chapter number 4, verses 1 through 2. So this is part of your Torah portion as well that you read during the week. So you'll read a daily, the first day, you read the second day, third day, and then during the week, you may read this a couple of times. Okay. You might read that as well. Also, too, what's connected with this, which they don't show up here, but it's very important that you do this as well, is read what they will call, I'm going to learning the values, just to show you how to get there. Go to daily study, and you go to Tehillim, which are the Psalms. During your Torah portion week, you also are going to have Psalms that you read along the way. I know some of you know this, but some of you may not know this. Okay. So the Psalms, you'll get a daily Psalm, like today's daily reading was chapter number 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34. So you would read that today during your day as well. So there's an abundant amount of study, a bunch of reading, but I think it's really meditative. I've went from just, reading it to say, okay, this is what I got to do today, to really trying to dig in and find my connection with the Psalms and find out what Yah is trying to tell us. Okay. One of the things that I wanted to discuss tonight was after we go over our Torah portion a little bit is and bring out some details, because we can't go over everything. It's so much. But chapter number 32 of Psalms is very important for us to understand. And so I want to go over that tonight and talk a little bit about that and get some of your ideas on what you guys see and just have an open discussion about it. So again, to go to a Torah portion, go to Learning and Values, and we just use this website just because of its engine for its tool. Okay. So this is where we find out where our Torah portions are. So we'll go to Learning and Values, we'll hover over it, and we'll go directly to what they would call Parashah Weekly Torah. Go across, it says current. We want to go all Parshas because we're now following their schedule, and we're going to go right here to Massei. Right here on the bottom, right here. That's where you're going to click. Okay. That's how you do that. All right. So let's start in chapter number 33. So now you go to your other tool that you want to go, Bible Hub. You can go there, or you can go to safaria.com.org and go whichever way you want to go. Okay. For whatever you like to do. That's what you want to do. So in English, you're going to go to your Complete Jewish Bible, So there's different tools. Just kind of give you a quick reminder. Now it says these are the stages, okay, in the journeys of the people, which are the sons of Israel, when they left the land of Mizraim and divided into groups under the leadership of Moshe and Aharon. Moshe recorded each of these stages of their journey by order of Yahweh, and here are the starting points of each of these stages. They don't tell you here, but there's over 42. There's 42 different stages, 42 different locations that they went to. Now, in our readings that we've been going over in Bamidbar, the wilderness, they've only talked about a couple of these. You might hear Mount Sinai. You might hear, we stopped off at, Midravath, Kodash. We stopped at Bener Kodash. So they only gave us probably like 5 or 6 different locations and different events, like, when they got lust and they wanted to eat all the birds and whatnot, all the quail, then Yah had named that place a certain thing. The time where he had the contention with them about the water, he names that place there. So here, there's all these other locations. And when we were Christians, we didn't want to really read them to understand them for what they really possibly mean. Each one of these places represents an idea that, how the Creator is dealing with Israel. Okay. So I wrote them down. I got them on a piece of paper. I don't know if you can see my paper. Can't. I got it for a piece of paper. I got over 42 different things, but today I took the time out and I wanted to find out what some of these places mean, right? Because that's how you find out what's going on, and it has somewhat of a story to it. One of the things that I found about it is when I looked at these names, is some things were bad, like, ruin, devastation, darkness, all this kind of stuff. But there's other things about sweetness and pleasantness and pomegranates and bursting forth and, the 12 palms and the springs of water and, different things like that. So I believe during these journeys, there's all this bad stuff going on, but there's also some good things that were going on through their journeys. And I liken that to what our life is today. You and I are going to have some good things. We're going to have some pleasantness. Sometimes you're going to have some rest, and other times you're not. Sometimes you're going to be afraid. Sometimes you're going to experience some anxiety, right? And that's just part of the journey of what you would call life, right? So these were all recorded not for the purpose of just for them, but also for the generations to follow. One of the things that I wanted to bring out, which is very important for us as a people, is to understand, when did you and I leave Mizraim? Some people say that we left on Pesach. That's where they believe we left. It says they began their journey from Ramses in the first month. Okay. Somebody know what the first month is in Hebrew?
Aviv.
Yes. So A-V-I-V, but it's pronounced Aviv. Okay. And it means the first green shoot. So it's the first green shoot, okay? And it stems from this word Av, and Av is your father, okay? And he is the one who's the causing of the first green shoot, the birth of something new. So that's why it's called Aviv, okay? Also too, and it's the first time you see that little green shoot come up out of the ground. And so we know that this time is through spring, okay? And so generally, anything that's coming to birth would happen in the springtime. And that's when all the trees start flourishing, all the plants start coming in and all that, okay? So our celebration of what you would call the first of the year for us, technically, it will be the first month of the year, which is Aviv. That's our new year. And that's the birth of what you would call our nation. That's when we were born, okay? And so people often say, I don't celebrate birthdays. And sometimes I have to help them understand that even we celebrate our birthday as a nation, right? Which is on what? Somebody tell me, when were we born? Yah says, on the first of this month will be the first of the months to you of years. So Yah let us know, like, your time is right here. We celebrate that, right? And we got a certain amount of time. And then on Pesach is when we were delivered, right? That's when we were literally born. So the month of our existence came into place in Aviv, and our actual birth that we celebrate is Pesach, because that's the firstborn. And it goes right along with the first green shoot, which this is what Yahweh calls us. He says that you and I are his first fruits. And he says anybody that's put their hands to the first fruit is going to be considered guilty. And as he warns the nations, I think there's somewhere, and I'll get it to you later. But anyway, the first month is very important for us. And here it says on the 15th day, 1-5, okay, of the first month, Aviv, in the morning after Pesach, okay, the people of Israel left proudly. That means their hands were raised. They had raised hands in victory in view of all the Egyptians. What I found to be interesting about this verse was it brings out not only the time that you and I left, which is on the 15th day, okay, of the first month, okay. It also mentions the fact that it was the morning after Pesach, okay. So this differentiates between the 14th on Pesach and the 15th. Those of us who were told that Shabbat, that the day starts in the evening of the previous day, is not true. Anytime there's a day is represented by the light, and the light is represented by the morning. So anytime that light comes out, it makes sure that it's a day, it's a new day. That's why it says on the 15th day. Okay, so the 15th day was in the morning after Pesach. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to bring out as well. So this day of the 15th also represents, in this verse that you can see, is that Pesach is one of the Moedims, Moedim, and Moedim is what you will call an appointed what? Appointed time. Is for appointed time, okay? Also, Yah has declared that the 15th day of this month is a Moedim as well. Somebody tell me what the name of that particular Moedim, that appointed time, is.
Unleavened bread.
Yes, what they would call the Feast of Matzah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And matzah means to find. That's what it means, because they had to go and they didn't have time. It had to be quickly, right? But they weren't able to find, they did not put any leaven there, but he's saying you should go through your house and see if you can get rid of all your leaven. I don't want to find any of it there, because leaven represents more than just sin. It represents idolatry. Okay. And that was the study that I've done before. Okay. So on the 15th day, that was the beginning of our departure. So that's the reason why Yah tells us to make sure that you keep your appointment on the 15th day of the first month, because it represents that you actually left on that time. That's when you begin your journey with the Creator. Now, while you and I were leaving with our hands raised up, the Egyptians were burying their dead, okay, on the 15th day. So that's something else that he wants you to remember, okay? Understand that. So when you're on the 15th day of the first month, it's not just, hey, this is matzah, but it's also to reflect upon what has happened to them. And that's what he did to them. He killed them he killed them on the 14th. And on the 15th day, that's a burial service for all their firstborns. Okay. In regard to what Yah has done, he also executed judgment on their Elohim, their gods. So it's just two reasons why this happened. Okay. Number one is to release us as his firstborn. So he, in lieu of the firstborn, he kills them, and then he considers us. He takes the firstborn out of Yisrael. But these individuals right here died in order for him to do that. Okay. So he redeems the firstborn of Yisrael through the death of the firstborn of Mizraim. So when someone comes to you thousands of years later and they say they're going to rebirth you or redeem you, right? And they say they're going to die so they can redeem you, right? You've already been redeemed. You understand? Yisrael has already been redeemed. You understand? So the firstborns of Israel was actually paid for. And by the way, let's be clear. It was never for sin. What it was is what you would say is the firstborn there. Yah takes Israel, the sons of Israel, all right, in exchange. Now, I think that you and I have went over this before, but have we not read where the Creator has said that he told Moshe to tell Pharaoh something? What did Yah tell Pharaoh? Told Moshe to tell Pharaoh. What did he tell him?
To let his people go.
Yeah, send my son away. Otherwise, I'm going to do what? If you don't send my son away, I'm going to kill your son. You understand? So he speaks of Yisrael as one, okay, singular. And when he told Pharaoh, I'm going to kill your son, he's speaking of his son as singular, okay? But he's really talking about all of those who belong to them, because Pharaoh was like a father to that nation. That's how they considered him their father. And he judged their gods because it was their gods who were causing them to treat the children of Israel the way that they were. I need you to understand something. Yah executes judgment on the gods of the nations. And when anytime Yah decides to take his people out from somewhere, there's going to be people being buried. Why am I laughing? Because if you see the theme, when Yah does something, when he takes Israel out of somewhere, people die. Okay. So the death of these individuals, they had to bury their firstborn, and Yah executed the judgment on them and their gods, because it was the mindset of their gods that caused them to treat the children of Israel the way they did. It was the mindset of the worshiping these other Elohim that caused Pharaoh to have his heart hardened, because he thought he was an Elohim. He thought he was what they would call a man god. You understand? He thought he was a deity, and the people believed him to be a deity. Okay. So Yah has executed judgment. And anytime he does that, it will be on the people, and it will be on their gods as well. So who's the gods of the United States of America?
AC.
JC and God and okay, right? Who's the god of China?
Buddha.
Oh yeah, come on now. Yeah. Who's the god of India?
They're Krishna.
Yeah, somebody got it. Okay. So these are just some examples. Okay. Everyone has a God. Okay. But this is why he keeps declaring that I am the only Elohim, right? And so I'm the Elohim of Israel. Our Elohim is not the God of the New Testament. That's not our God. So you need to start reading the New Testament. You need to stop saying that the God of the New Testament is your God. He's not, because that's a whole different God. Matter of fact, I can prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay. I want somebody. I give you $1,000. I give you $1,000 cash money. Okay. Or I'll do it as a cash app. When y'all comes to get us, other people say, yeah, they will die. Yes. What if it's true that their God is our God, right, of the New Testament, then where is the Creator's name? Show me a disciple, show me an apostle, show me a prophet, show me a baptizer, show me a Pharisee, show me a Sadducee, show me Christos, Jesus Christos, show me anybody that had all the visions and casting out demons. Show me one place, just one, where the Creator's name, his full name, was declared. I give you $1,000. If you can't find it, you owe me $1,000. What am I saying? Yah sent us to a place where he's going to judge the Elohims, the gods of the nations. He said, when you get there, you're going to serve what? What did he say you're going to serve?
Stone.
God,
Wood and
and stone.
That's what you're going to serve when you get there. Okay. So he's letting you know, when I see any of these other places, you're going to serve the God of wood and stone. Your wood is your cross. Okay. And it can also come in a form of a cross as well. Your wood is your statutes and your images, which is the same thing over here. You see, that's all part of it. That's what you're going to serve when you get there. Okay. And that's because when Israel was in power in the book of Yirmiyahu, in those chapters that he mentions for us in our Haftarah, it talks about them worshiping these gods. He said that you guys say that the wood is our father and the stone is our helper. So this is what Israel has always done. Okay. So one other thing that I want to show you too is that this in particular place right here called Sukkot. So what is Sukkot? Is Sukkot a Moedim?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. So this is mentioned, and Sukkot means tabernacles.
Yes.
Okay. But it also means rest. And it means to be silent. Okay. That's what it meant. So on their journeys, they were living in what they call these Sukkots. They were all, had some type of shelter. But within their tabernacles, what were they doing? I think Kavika brought it out on her presentation. What were they doing, Kavika, all the time in their tents? They're complaining. They're complaining in their tents. And guess what? Yah heard them. He heard their complaints. Okay. So as you go through this litany of places of where they've gone, do your research and you'll find out what these places mean. Which was an interesting place to me. I know the place of graves, but they also had a place called Livna. Let me see, Livna right here. Just to give you a few, just so you'll know. The Sea of Suf is what they call the Red Sea. Okay, by the way, that's what the Red Sea was. That's where they departed. Where is that place? Livna, where are you at? Oh, here, Kivroth, Hakata'af, that's the graves of lust. What were they lusting for? Yeah, they were lusting, but they were lusting for food. And they were trying to satisfy their desire for, they wanted meat. They hated what Yah was doing for them. So they ended up doing that. Ramon Perez is a place of the pomegranate. Okay. That's the pomegranate, means a pomegranate burst out. So they had some good things and then they had some not so good things. I think after the Ramon Perez is what the place I call Livna that I wanted to tell you about, because it answered a question for me. Like I asked myself, well, where are they going to get the, where were they supposed to get the Lavona for burning the incense for Yahweh in the tabernacle? This place right here called Livna is really Lavona. Okay. And Lavona is frankincense. Okay, so that's a place of frankincense. So that's where they were getting the frankincense. When they had to dye certain things, that's where they got from Ramon Perez. So every time they went somewhere, they were picking up something. It wasn't like they were just passing through these places and not taking anything or not using the resources. Okay, this Mahaleth right here is talking about an assembly. And so some places they were really tight together, and other places they were not as tight to each other. I'm just going off of my memory. Mount Saphir right here is really called Shafar, like the shofar, but it's called Shafar, and it means beauty. There's a place of beauty, right? So they were going to some beautiful places. So we have this idea about the wilderness of being somewhere without anything, and that's not necessarily true. So in the wilderness, they would find different trees, they would find frankincense, so things of value. Frankincense is very, very valuable in that culture, and it has a lot of the idea about purification, because that's what frankincense does. It purifies the air of any germs and bacteria, and that's why one of the reasons why is the highest level of purity in terms of a resin. So the Most High uses it inside the tabernacle. Now you find out, well, this is where they got it from. Okay, so along the way, Yah has been dealing with them, and like I said, yes.
Can I chime in there?
Absolutely.
I wanted to say something about the frankincense also with the COVID. Make sure
Yes.
you burn plenty of frankincense in your home because it cleanses the air.
Praise Yah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell them about that.
Yeah, it has antibiotic principles to it. So like when it burns, even our ancient ancestors knew that, so they would burn it because there was death all around, the dead carcasses and things like that, right? So they would burn the frankincense to kill that smell. But then when it attaches to the odor in the air, it also neutralizes it. So the little particles of the air, like Febreze, it neutralizes the odor. Frankincense neutralizes viruses, odors of death, things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Hallelujah. See what happens when we do our Torah portion? We start finding out these different things. Thank you for that contribution. Awesome. Here's a place that they called Dovka. Okay, but it's really called Dov, and it's Kwa. Okay, Dovkwa, and Dovkwa means to beat. Okay, there was different times. See, that we didn't hear about this. We didn't hear about this. Remember, Yah says, "I've taken Yisrael; he's my son. Send him out to me." Yah has disciplined Yisrael. He's been carrying Israel, and you'll hear me talk about it all week long. So when you come to Shabbat, be like, didn't you just say that? Yeah. Yah's been taking care of Israel this whole time. And as he's been taking and carrying Israel like a man carries his own son, because that's what he says, he had an opportunity where he had to beat him. Yah has smitten Israel on several occasions and had to put that discipline on him. What was interesting at this place called Dovkwa, after they left the place where they were beaten, right? He sends them over to this place called Alush. And when I looked up Alush, I found that to be interesting because let me see my little notes here. Alush has to do with to knead. Okay, knead like you're kneading dough for bread. Okay, so after the beating, now he's taking it and he's like taking the clay or the flour and he's kneading it now. Now he's working it with his hands. So you can see this story, in these different locations where the Creator is dealing with his son. He's dealing with us. Yes, he has a relationship with us as a wife, right? Saying, hey, I'm going to covenant, but also too as a son. He tells us, this is my son. Bring him out to me so I can discipline him and so he can worship me. So there's things about us that Yah's like saying, I got to work out. I got to put my hands on you. And whatever I got to do, I'm going to do in order for your benefit. Often we don't want Yah to put his hands on us because it hurts. And then he takes him after needing him, right? And then he moves on, and then he brings him to this place where they would call rest on resting place. Then he takes him to Rephidim, okay? And again, after he does this, after he kneads the dough, he bring him to a place of rest. So it's like he's kneaded this dough now, right? He's worked it. Now he sits it, he lets it rest. So that's what I'm saying. It's just this back and forth. You could go from somewhere beautiful to a place of ruin. And he's like taking them all over the place. Like, well, why? Why are you doing this? So I'm seeing that there's so much going on. There's more than just a strike. Sometimes a strike is there, but also often you see some beauty and you see some sweetness and some love, right? After he rests, he brings them, after he gives them rest, after needing them, this is interesting. They go to Sinai Desert. What happened in Sinai Desert? You guys remember? How about Har Sinai? Maybe that makes sense for you. Har is mountain of Sinai. What happened on Har Sinai?
Moshe received the commandment.
Receive the commandments. You understand? So after he needed them, so needing is like preparation. I prepare them. I'm going to bring them here now to this place called the Sinai Desert. Okay. And the desert is, the Sinai means from this wilderness of what you would call sin. Okay. Sinai and sin is essentially, let me see. See it up here right quick. Let me erase all this so you don't get confused. He brought them to a desert. There's two things that I want to bring out too, additional things. The Sinai, they call it Sinai. Okay. Sinai Desert actually means the thorny place. It's thorny. Okay. It's a thorny place. A lot of thorns. Here, there you go. They didn't have it in the right name. Here it says seen. It's not seen. It's S-I-N, sin. Look at the Hebrew. It's a samak. Excuse me. Yeah, it is a samak. And it's a yod, and it's a final noon. That's the name of this desert right here. So he takes them, and this means thorn. Okay. So they go from a thorn place to the place where he beats it. And then they go from the beat to the kneading, and go from the kneading to the place of rest. And after they go from the place of rest, he then takes them from the place of rest to this place. This right here, the Sinai, is spelled exactly the same way. It has a samak, a yod, a noon, and then it has an aleph. I don't know if it's not aleph. It's another yod, Sinai. Okay, Sinai. That's what it is, Sinai. Okay, so they're exactly the same except for this additional yod. That additional yod means more than one thorn. So that's why this one up here is thorn, and Sinai right here is thorny, like totally thorny. Okay, somebody tell me, why did Yah bring them here to give them the Torah? Why wasn't it a beautiful place? Why was it a place of a thorny place? Why is Sinai, you would think, why is this thorny? Why is this a thorny place? Why would he bring them there to give them the Torah? Just think about it. A thorn. Why? Well, I mean, other beautiful places. Go ahead.
I was going to say, actually, the commandments given to them were actually thorns in their sides because they didn't want to do them.
Woo! Yes. Okay, so in our understanding so far, this letter, this sin letter right here, this S, this is why you got to come to Hebrew class. That sin letter right there, and I'm going to show it to you just so it can make sense for you. Let's hold off right here. Remember, mean thorny. I want to show this to you. Okay. and we're going to tie it up like a beautiful package so you can see what I'm saying. Okay. In my study, can you guys see my my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so that's that. Where's my other one here? That's not the one I'm looking for. I'm looking for this one. Okay. All right, you guys been in my class before, so you know you should be familiar with this. Zadi, okay. Samaka and Pei. Okay, here you go. So the letter we're talking about is the sin, okay? And we're always going to go here. We're always going to look at the letters, okay? The sin, and this is for the Sin Desert. Remember, that was the name of that wilderness, okay? There's a reason why they were brought there, okay? There's a reason why they were brought to the still wilderness. Okay, man, what's wrong with me? What can I spell? Wilderness, okay? The letter, which is this letter right here, okay, is the meaning of a shield, all right? As thorn bushes were used by the shepherd to build a wall or a shield. That's what it's for, okay? That's the function made to enclose the flock during the night to protect them from predators. Another meaning is to grab hold of, because when you go, a thorn will grab hold of you, right? A thorn is a seed that clings to the hair and the clothing, okay? So two different things. It could be to protect and shield and also to grab hold of. So the modern name for this letter is called a semak, which is the word that means support, okay? So, but the actual letter has a picture, and the picture of this letter is this, okay? It's this. So now you can see that, okay, when they were there, okay, in this place, this was all around them, okay? So what was Yah doing? He brought them to there. He brought them to a place in order to shield them, okay? And he's letting them know, because what it was, and I'll draw it out a little bit for you so you can get the idea. So you have the little sheep, right? I'm just going to put a whole bunch of dots, and those are the sheep, you know, a whole little herd and flock, okay? Around the flock at night, what a shepherd would do is put these thorn bushes all the way around. And what he's trying to do is trying to keep out the predators. So it's a wall, and it's a wall of protection. With inside of this wall, there's an opening like right here. Okay. The shepherd would sleep right here, right in this area. This is where he would sleep, right here. Okay. While the thorn bushes were surrounded around the sheep to protect the sheep. So when a predator would try to come, they would hit those thorns before they were able to get to the sheep. They would have to go through the shepherd in order to get to the sheep. So here it is. Yah has brought them here because what he's saying to us is that I want you to know that I'm trying to protect you, okay? I'm building a wall around you. What I've used to build this wall, listen carefully, is the Torah, okay? The Torah and the commandments. This is what is going to keep you. This is what protects you. This is what, shields you from you getting hurt, okay? The only way that somebody can get to you is they got to go through me to get to you, because you're my sheep, you're my flock. This is the reason why he says, I've chosen Moshe and Aharon to lead them. Yah has chosen them as the shepherds to lead Israel. But it was still the same staff that he gave to Moshe that was ruling over the people, okay? So the commandments are designed, and the Torah is designed to grab hold of us, okay? The Torah is designed also to shield and be a wall for us, and to also give us the support we need. This same word, okay, the same letter, which you call a samak, right here, is the same letter that's used for the word, what they would call sa-ne. And sa-ne is listen to me, is a samak, okay? And I believe it's ayin. We're gonna look that up. I don't want to give you the wrong information. I know it's spelled S-A-N-A, but I don't know if it's an ayin or an aleph, but I know this for sure. Okay, is that there's a samak and there's a noon in it. Okay, this word sane means hate, hatred. So why would you use the same letter for sin, as you know, that's the name of the letter, but the same letter is found in the word hatred? That's the first letter, and it has the same letter as Sinai. Okay, so this is called Sinai, not Sinai, but Sinai. Okay, so Sinai means to hate. So here's the story. Okay, Yah is using the Torah, the commandments, the Moedim, and all these things in order for you and I to grab hold of it. If we follow what he says, it will be a shield and a wall to us, and it will be supportive to us. The moment that you hate him, okay, because there were some people there. He said, remember, he said, I'll be merciful to those who love me, but he says, I'm going to pay those who what?
Hate me.
That hate me to what? To your face. I'm going to pay you to your face. The individuals that hate Yah are the ones who come against the Torah. Those are the enemies. Those are the predators. Okay. When Yisrael decides that they don't want to be inside in here, okay, they want to be on the outside out here with these people, they're going to try to attack those who are on the inside. That which is guarding you and I right now is the Torah. That's what Yah has designed. So anyone that's inside of the circle are the ones that are guarded. Those are the ones who are faithful, and those are the ones who love Yah. The ones on the outside of this wall, okay, this shield, are the ones who are called adversaries and predators. And they're the ones who hate Yah. So Yah knows the ones who love him are the ones who are inside the wall of protection, inside of the Torah. The ones who are on outside of the Torah are the ones who hate Yah. Do you guys understand that concept?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, the letter sin, okay, because that's the name of it, not the sin of, kata, not the one of missing the mark. This letter right here represents to contain. That's why it has a circle. It's like to wrap something around. You see, that's why it goes from here and goes all the way around, and it comes and then it closes off. It's a circle, and you get inside the circle. You understand that? That's what it means. Okay. Hatred is not just an emotion. Hatred is that which separates. So the person who hates is the ones who would go up and they will come against the Torah, and they will be pricked by it. And so guess what they do? The ones who hate are the ones who turn away. Those are the ones who hate Yah too. The ones who turn away from the Torah. Instead of the Torah it's the concept. It's the idea behind the thorn. It's the function of the thorn. That's what's beautiful about this language, because it has to do with function. You understand? Yah uses things to put thoughts in our mind. So when you look at this thorn, you're looking at this picture, you'd be like, man, if I get too close to this, it'll hurt me. If I come against it, I'm going to get hurt, But you and I don't see it as, well, it can protect me. You got to see the positive side of the Torah. What's going on is that a lot of people are seeing what they would call, which is no negative side, but because of the way that they're thinking, they think that the Torah, they think that this is here to hurt them. And as a result of being hurt, right, for coming against it, they decide it's like, a predator getting hit in their nose with it, they turn away from it. See, so you can approach it two different ways. Either you could come and say, I want to get within it and go to the shepherd and go inside, or I'm going to try to go against it, okay? And when you go against it, you be like, okay, I'm getting hurt. So hatred means that someone puts distance because they believe you're trying to hurt them. So when you go to them, you start speaking words of truth to them, you're like, nah, I don't want to hear that. No, I'm not, no, that's good for you, but it's not good for me. I know you've heard that before. I have, Okay. So one of the things too that's what this long chapter number 33 is about. Also too, this word Kadesh right here means what? Set apart, holy. Okay, well, in English, but we know that that's not it. So they got that K right there, right? For Kadesh, it's not a K. In Hebrew, it's a Q. It's Kadesh, and that means to be set apart. Okay, that's what it means, to be set apart. So when they were there, they were in this place of Kadesh, a set apart place for a long time. And then they camped at Mount Hor. This is called Har for mountain, and then Hor. And Hor means mountain again. So this was the mountain of mountains. So when Aharon, when he died, he didn't die on a small mountain. He went up to the highest mountain that was in that entire region. Never saw that before because I didn't know the language at the time. So Mount Hor, which is Har Hor is the highest mountain peak that was in that area. Why? Because he was the what? He was the high priest. He was the highest of highest. So Yah honored him with a death for him to be buried on a very high place. You understand? All right. He died on the 5th month, on the first day of that month after Israel left. He was 123 years old when he died. Okay. Yeah, sent him up there to go and die. And so they moved on, and they ended up camping in this place called Zamona. They camped at Punan. Zamona means to be dark. Punan means to be complete darkness. Zalmanah means to be a shadow, like a shadowy place. Then they went to Punan, it was completely dark. Okay. And then they went on to Moab and so forth and so on. When I looked at some of these maps, you guys, I was trying to figure out what the journeys were. And when I looked at the maps, there's so many contradictions on the maps and journeys, like where did Israel go? And they went here and here, and then they don't show a lot of these places. So don't, if you go try to look for it, you're not going to find anything that's accurate to what was written. So I would say don't waste your time. Just understand what's really going on. What is Yah doing here? All right. So he mentions, before I close out, he mentions here that they went down, and I think the Ka'anani, they said that this king, there was another king of Arad, and he lived in the Negev in the land of Canaan. He heard that the people of Israel were coming. Because remember, they've been picking a lot of people off. They just picked the Midians off. They picked off some of the Imris. And so this generation now are the ones who are ready to make things happen. And then one closing thing that I did want to bring to you is what I think all of us need to be careful about, is that Yah told them when they get there that I want you to run those descendants out of the land. So let's read what he says. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, verse number 50, in the plains of Moab by the Yarden, okay, across from Jericho. Jericho means the moon, okay. And he said to him, tell the people of Israel, meaning the sons of Israel, when you cross the Yarden into the land of Canaan, you are to expel all the people living in land in front of you. Destroy all their stone figures, okay, so little figurines, all their Christmas ornaments, destroy all their metal statues, okay, and demolish their high places, okay, drive out the inhabitants of the land and live in it, for I have given the land to you to possess. This is the whole purpose of our engagement with the Creator, is to him to ultimately bring us into the land that he promised to our fathers. He gives a warning here that he wants us to understand. You will inherit the land by lot according to your families. The reason why he uses lot is simply because they roll these little stones. And he says, I want you to give the more land to the larger families and the smaller ones to the smaller family. The lots are used, and some people will call them dice. The lots are used because every decision that has been made is from Yah. There's a scripture that goes with that. It's in the book of Proverbs. I don't have it offhand right now. I think it's chapter number 16 or 18, one of the two. But it says every decision that, even if you threw a lot or you threw some stones or some urim or thummim, all this has to do with Yah's decision. So it's not sorcery, it's not witchcraft. It's letting them know that this is Yah's decision. Okay, he left it up to those stones, right, when they would roll those stones. just like the priest had a breastplate on, and they had different stones on that breastplate. And they had two other stones called a Urim and a Thummim, and one was light, and the other one was dark. And they claimed that when they have to consult Yahweh, they would always go to those stones when they would consult with Yahweh, and those stones would light up. That's how they found out who, which tribe did what. Bring those tribes past before me. You guys remember the story where the guy stole all the stuff, and they said, well, who's the tribe who did it? This is why we lost our war today, because somebody has brought this upon us. Who is it? And Yah told them, make every tribe walk in front of you. So when they went by, if that stone didn't light up, they were like, oh, it's not them. So when Judah went there, the stone lit up. Then he said, okay, now I need every family in there. So when every family would go by, the stone wouldn't light up. Then boom, that one family, that clan, then that would light up. And they went through the families, and then they went through, the clan, then they went through the families, and boom, that family. And that's how they found them. So every decision is from Yah. That's what he's trying to let us know. Okay. So he says, you families are going to inherit this land by lot and according to your numbers. We saw two Torah portions ago where Yah has showed us what family was doing really well and the other families who weren't doing so well based on a percentage. So based on their disobedience, they cut down their inheritance. So they got less land. So Yah does give what is right to who rightfully should get it. So I would advise those of us who have families and who do want to continue to make and continue to have your family stand before the creator of the heavens and the earth, that you and I would do everything we possibly can within our power to govern our homes in a way that allows us to continue. Okay. And that's just what it is. Yah is not a respecter of persons. So we also have here that he says, wherever that lot falls to any particular person, that will be his property. You will inherit according to the tribes of your ancestors. Like we talked about last week, called Matoth, according to your tribes. Now, he says, but if you don't drive out the inhabitants of the land from in front of you, then those you allow to remain will become what? They
Like
will become thorns in your eyes and stings in your sides. So it's imperative that they listen to what Yah's command is, because if you don't listen to Yah's command, then Yah says the thorns that these individuals, okay, will be thorns in your eyes. They're going to give you, I don't know if you guys ever had something in your eye. How bad is it when you're trying to get out of it?
bad.
It's real tough. It's bad. You ever get something like a stick in your eye? It's horrible. Okay. Or a sting in your side. Okay. He said, they will harass you in the land that you're living. Now, here's the warning. In this event, I will do to you what I intended to do to them. That's our Elohim. His intention was to do what to those individuals?
Kill 'em.
What was his intent?
To kill
To kill
them.
I'm going to destroy every last one of them. Do you understand? The reason why he's going to destroy them is simply because the idols and the gods, and he said, tear down all that stuff. When you get there, I need you to tear down their statues and their figurines and their gods. The reason why he wants this done, everyone, is simply because if you don't demolish these high places, and for us, while we're among the nations that we are, if you and I adopt any of the things that they adopt, right, you and I are going to be destroyed right along with them. So he's given us this narrative and this story to tell you that if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, I will do to you what I intended to do to them. He intends on destroying these places. That's what he's letting us know. Okay. So one of the reasons too that I suggest that you and I would read, and thank you so much, Koti. It is Proverbs, as I said, chapter number 16, verse number 33. It says, this is Yahweh's lot. This is his lot. This is what he does. Okay. In closing, read the book of Jeremiah, the first few chapters, like they suggested, because you're going to find out that Yah sent him to be a prophet to the nations, and he's warning the nations about what he's going to do to them. Okay. In that first chapter, I think it's the first chapter. Okay. He was complaining about being a child. He didn't want to go. Okay. Here's what he said. He says, today I have placed you over the nations and the kingdoms to uproot. This is what he told that he's going to do. He's going to make him I'm going to place you over nations and kingdoms to uproot, tear down, and to destroy, and to demolish, and to build, and to plant. 4 negative things and 2 positive things. Okay. The 4 negative is to uproot, tear down, destroy, and demolish, which is exactly the same thing that he told the children of Israel to do when they got into their land. Okay. Then he says to build and to plant. To build what? To build something different. To build and where? Yah's intention is in the nations and the kingdom of the world to uproot, to tear down, to destroy, and to demolish. And then after he finishes doing this, then he's going to go through building and planning. So what is he letting us know? He's letting us know that I'm going to tear down the United States of America. I'm going to uproot people from their nations. I'm going to tear down the nations. I'm going to destroy them, and I'm going to demolish them. After I finish doing that, then you can build and plant. So there's a process. Okay. There's a process. Okay. Then he goes on and say, what did you see? He said, I see an almond tree. I see a shakad. He said, great. You saw something. You saw very, very well, because I'm going to shokade. Same thing. Almond tree. Why'd you see it? Because a shokade, shakade is an almond tree. Shokade and shokade. Show is a participle meaning ing. I'm going to fulfill my word. I'm going to do exactly what I'm telling you I'm going to do. So when you read this, you're going to find out that Yah does bring about what he says he's going to do. Okay. So we're going to continue on our journey through this in particular Torah portion, Massei, and understand that Yah has been with us this whole time. And he's using figurative language, right, and metaphoric language to let us know what his intentions are. And this is what he's going to do. He's in the process of doing it now. He's uprooting. He's going to tear down, destroy, demolish. And after he does that, then he's going to build, and then he's going to plant. You see? So you and I can adopt that same mindset, okay, of what's in our lives. So you and I have been through this process. First, we had to be uprooted. Where? From what? From Christianity or whatever other religion you were in. Okay. You got to go through this phase. You got to go in and tear down things. Okay. You have to destroy. You have to demolish. You have to exterminate. And you and I don't have the people to do this too. It's the things that are in our lives. It's the gods that we hold to be true. It's our attitudes and our mindset. It takes a certain type of mindset. Yah is interested in developing the world in a whole different way. And you and I are part of that process. So if you and I are part of that process, it starts with us, everyone. You understand? So you're not in this just so you can go back home to be in your land. You're in this to be prepared to do what? To do exactly what he said to Jeremiah. You're there to help with the process. And you and I exist to give Yah praise, to bring honor to his name, and to show the world that there's only one living Elohim. We do this by the way that we live our lives. So if you're going around, you saying that you're Israel and you're saying that you're joined with Israel, but yet you're in any point, and I'm going to be very, very clear, and I'm not threatening you, I'm just telling you what it is. If you got any point in you whatsoever that is going to say, I'm going to go against any word that Yah said, any word, any kukim, any one of them, you are an enemy and you are going to be destroyed. You understand? Because here's the thing. You and I can't say that we love him, and we can't say that we're with him. And then he says something, and then you and I go against it. We find an excuse and a reason to go against it. It's those attitudes that we adopted from Christianity that think that that kind of business and the way that we got down over there, that that's going to be accepted over here. And it's not. It's not going to be accepted. That's not going to be. There's no more he's not tolerating it anymore. This is the last exile, everyone. You understand? So what do I mean by this? I'm telling you today, okay, or this evening, you and I cannot say that we are on Yah's side and we deny any point of what he said. If he said the decision is mine, the decision is mine. If I told you that the father is over the household and you go against that, you're an enemy. You're an enemy of Yahweh. You can't go against any word that he says. If he tells us to study the Torah and to learn his ways, and you and I say we don't have time for it, you're an enemy. You think you're just going to walk in? You think that none of this stuff is going to happen to you? You think that you're just going to skate on in? Is that what it is? Let me share one last thing since I mentioned it. Let me show you what happens to a person who decides that they're going to do what they want to do and not do what he said in any regard to what he said. Let the fear of Yahweh be your guide. Let him instruct you today. And this is for every last one of us. Okay. I'm not being abusive. I'm just going to tell you what he says because he's about to destroy. He says this. I think this is appropriate for us to right here. Verse 14, 29 and 14. But I'm not making this covenant and this oath only with you. Rather, I'm making it both with him who is standing here with us today before Yahweh our Elohim, and also with him who is not here with us today. Okay? For you know how we lived in the land of Mizraim. You know that. And how we came out directly through the nations you passed through. You saw their detestable things, their idols of wood and stone and silver and gold that they had with them. So let there not be among you a man, a woman, family, tribe, whose heart turns away. Isn't that what we just said? About what? About a thorn. Don't turn away from Yah. Don't turn away from him. You turn away from him when you see things and you go after anything else. And that's not only what you see with your eyes, but what you desire with your heart. He says, don't let your heart, and your heart here is your mind. You're in the inner being of who you really are. Don't let that turn away from Yahweh today. Our Elohim, and go and serve other gods of those nations. The gods of the other nations come with attitudes, and it comes with the way of life. It comes with eating and behavior and clothing. It comes with all these things. Let there not be among you a root, something that's in you, a shoresh, bearing such bitter poison, a marah, wormwood. If there is such a person, man, woman, or child, when he hears the words of this curse, he will bless himself secretly, him, her, or whoever, saying to himself, I will be all right. Even though I will stubbornly keep doing whatever I feel like doing, so that I, although dry and I'm sinful, will be added to the watered. So you think that you could do what you want to do and you think this is going to happen? Well, this is what Yahweh says. Yahweh will not forgive him or her, period. Rather, the anger and jealousy of Yahweh will blaze up against that person. Every curse written in this book will be upon him or her, and Yahweh will blot out his name from under heaven. Period. Yahweh will single him out from all the tribes of Israel to experience what is bad and all the curses of the covenant written in this book of the Torah. That's what he's talking about. You understand? So you and I cannot afford, okay? You can't afford not to do what God was saying. You can't afford to adopt that attitude that I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to keep doing what I want to do. I'm not going to fall underneath Yahweh's authority. Well, what's the curse? Well, he just read it. A curse on anyone who does not confirm the words of this Torah by putting them into practice. This word confirm in the Hebrew is kum, like kumbaya, meaning to raise up. If you and I do not raise up our Yahweh's Torah, we don't lift it up and high and hold it high in its standard, and you and I are not putting it to practice, we give it nothing but lip service, you and I are cursed. And it's going to be on you, and it's going to remain on you. We cannot continue down that path. Every woman, man, and child who is associated with the King of the universe has to behave in a manner that's conducive to that which represents nobility and majesty. And that's the challenge. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some things in there that I said, this is going to be real tough. This is real tough. But you know what? You're going to bend, or you're going to be broken. You're going to yield, or you're going to be broken by Yah. That's what he's telling us. I know it's not a soft message. I know it's like, wow, why'd you end on that? Simply because what we're talking about is, if we hate him, and he's like, if you hate me, and that's why I brought you there to Mount Sinai. I want to find out. I'm going to find out who's going to cling to me. That's what I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out who's going to take hold of me. I'm going to find out who's going to really put what I said into practice. That's what I'm going to find out. Okay. So that's our responsibility as his people. And that's the Elohim. And he's so worthy and deserving of all of our honor and our praise that we give him, but also too, he's very deserving of all obedience is owed to him. And that's what he called us to. And those are the people that we are. So let's accept that. Okay. Let's accept those words that, okay, I got to change. I got to look at things differently. I can't do business as usual is not happening here, because if I follow these other ways in any detail, I know we've been told that you have enough grace to make your mistakes. And I'm here to tell you, if you do anything intentionally against any one of Yahweh's words, just one, it's over. Okay. I could stay on here for another hour telling you to go to Ezekiel 18, and he'll tell you straight to our faces, if you were doing righteousness and all of a sudden you commit one act of wickedness, none of your righteousness will stay. Not one of it. None of it. Not one thing. So what is he saying? You're going to have to walk a tightrope. You're going to have to be committed to me in every area of your life. Not some of it, not part of it. We ain't doing Christianity no more. That's what it is. Hallelujah. 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 Praise be to the mighty Yahweh. Any contributions?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Okay. He's looking for this from his people. Everybody, from the top all the way down to the bottom. Every child that'll be born has to understand that this is what Yahweh says. This is what he says. We're in our situation right now because somebody didn't have the courage to tell us this is what Yahweh says. They started being friends with their kids. And they started going to parties, and they started making excuses. See, I think Akoti mentioned it, said, oh, I think you said it, Pam. They didn't want to do what they hated him. They thought what he was doing was a thorn in their side. He became the thorn, and they accepted everybody else. Y'all saying, who's with me? Get on my side, because I'm about to uproot. I'm about to tear down, destroy, and demolish. That's what I'm about to do to the nations. And if you adopt any of their ways, in any way, you're at work and you stealing, I'm going to put you to death. Read it. It's in the book of Malachi. He took anybody's wages from them. He's going to judge you and destroy you. Don't you understand? If you haven't repented, when I was a kid, I stole some stuff out of Mervin's. That was on my list. I did not know. Have mercy on me. Should I go to Mervin's? I mean, they're out of business. Should I go to Sears? Well, they're out of business. Should I go to the Gap and go steal some clothes? No. Once you find out that you made a mistake, you say you're sorry, and then you don't do it again. Are you with me?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Tough talk. But this is what Yah says to his people. You better not have one inkling, not one speck of your life to say that you're going to go against what he said. Look what happened to Moshe. After everything he did, you're not able to go into the land because you and your brother didn't show my holiness before the people. After all that time? Okay. All right. This is why we go through the Torah. Good night, everyone. I love you. I'll see you on Yom Kamishi. Hallelujah.
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 Lila Tov. Good to see you all.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.